should check it in LinkedIn to make sure that it's going.
Okay, we are now recording. Hello, hello. All right,
Hello.
now I'm doing custom live streaming service. And I gotta go back to my restream real quick. Make sure that everything's good there. Got that. Got my stream key. And
Oh, does it make you do it all again?
No, it was already pre-populated. I just wanted to double check, and then we'll go LinkedIn / Ben Blackman at RIDG, I think is. So we'll do that. Plug in the URL. Hopefully it pops up this time with a notification that I'm going live. Because
yeah, I have my LinkedIn open just to see if it does.
Yeah, because that draws a lot of people in. I noticed the last one got like 150 views or something.
No way.
Yeah, like
that's awesome.
I don't know if that means that they were spending a lot of time watching, but they at least saw it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like what's easiest for people, right? Like that's why like ads work, is because
you just don't have to do
you know, if it pops up in front of you, you'll watch it. Oh, I just got a notification.
Okay, I believe we're live. Fantastic. Philip, you ready to roll?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, fantastic. Well, hello everyone who's watching. You are tuning in to Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I'm a director of development for RIDG. That's Royal Innovation Design Group. It's a group of innovation consultants based in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. Before we get started, I want to encourage everybody out there to go to the RIDG YouTube channel and our Facebook page, where you can like and share all of our content. You can also schedule your own virtual coffee session with me. We can talk about how RIDG can help your company innovate more effectively. This web series, Virtual Coffee with Ben, focuses on how companies innovate, strategically plan for the future, and create a strong culture for their employees. Today, I'm very excited to welcome our guest. Her name is Regina Kaza. Regina just joined RIDG as marketing coordinator. And as always, we have Philip Leslie. Philip is one of RIDG's many talented visual strategists. He's going to be doing a live graphic recording of this interview. So you can see him right now just drawing me and Regina, and we'll be posting the final copy of this graphic record after the show. Regina, again, thanks for joining me. I wanted to dive into your background a little bit. We actually have some similarities, background in journalism and advertising. You've kind of worked your way through those all the way to where you're at now in an innovation consultancy like RIDG. I'm curious, how did you decide that marketing was really the best fit for you, and how did you end up at RIDG?
Yeah, I think I started my career really in journalism. So I really wanted to write, right? So I think I started as like a food writer and a travel writer, and that was really the goal. But then once I was doing that, I got interested in PR and was curious kind of on the flip side of journalism, you know, pitching to journalists and working with clients. So did some work in PR and really loved that. And I think it was around like 2015 that social media marketing agencies were really coming about, and brands were getting on Twitter and on Facebook, and it was all, you know, organic. There weren't like ads back then. And so it was just the beginning of this, you know, social media era. And I was super interested in it because it kind of married, you know, journalism and PR for me. It was this, you know, you're working with brands, it's a form of advertising, but it is really writing heavy. It is all about words. You have to write short, and writing short is a lot harder than writing long. So all of these things really excited me. So I started working in social media and then continued into advertising, continued into digital marketing. And then about 2017, I had like a brief stint in sales. which I ended up at this company and I was like, I've never been in sales before. I don't know anything about sales. And they're like, it's fine. We'll teach you. We'll figure it out. And it was a great 3 years, like working in staffing, working with C-suite clients, building relationships. But I think I got to a point where I really missed marketing, and I missed marketing and advertising and working with brands and building something out of nothing. So I had this moment where I was needed a soul search like about a year ago, and I left that job and I really wanted to wait for the right fit. And I was like, I need to vet these companies that I'm interviewing with. It has to be the right fit. It has to align with what I want to build and what my values are. And that was a long journey because I ended up finding a good fit, and then COVID hit, and then layoffs happened, and I was back in the same position, and there's a pandemic happening and everything is crazy. But I feel like I still wanted to stick with that vision of, you left that job because you want to go back into creative and you want to be in marketing. So how do you have to pursue that during a time when those jobs are limited, when all of these marketing departments are kind of falling apart for budget reasons. And so I waited out and I started freelancing. I used to freelance in the past. So I started working with brands and really, again, focusing on the brands that I was interested in, and focusing on businesses that aligned with, just authenticity and doing marketing smart, and, really trying to build something that was going to help people. And that's how I found RIDG. And I kind of found this company and I thought, okay, like they are doing something exciting. This is a crazy time for everybody, but there's this opportunity to help businesses during this time, right? And to kind of thrive in this disruption. And so that's how I ended up here, and very excited
We're
to be
happy
here.
to have you.
Yeah, happy to be
Love that it
here.
worked out.
Right.
You
Long journey.
mentioned getting interested in social media when that kind of all just skyrocketed. Everybody was jumping on those different platforms. I'm curious, for a marketer, social media plays a big role in any kind of strategy. So I'm curious what your approach is to utilizing the social media platforms that are out there.
Yeah. I think it's very different for everybody. I mean, the way that we use social media personally is different than the responsibility that brands have to use social media. But I think it all comes down to authenticity, right? So, the same way that we connect with people on a personal level through social media, brands are really trying to connect with their consumers. And I think, the way that brands thrive is really building that connection and building that engagement and that relationship with their consumers, which is challenging to do, right? Because at the end of the day, you're trying to sell something, you're trying to sell a product, but you're also trying to build a loyal fan base. And that's why we're seeing changes with, in the past, we used to have like celebrity endorsers, and you used to see ads with, Michael Jordan and every model in like a perfume ad. And now we're seeing these influencers and like TikTok dancers and YouTubers, and they're the ones that are promoting these products. And it's because there's a level of authenticity to them, because they are not multi-million-dollar celebrities. They are normal people who are passionate about a product or passionate about something, and their audience trusts them. And so that authentic relationship is really what's driving social media marketing and social media advertising. And the exciting part about that is, in the past, maybe we could have tracked TV ads. Maybe we could track ads in a newspaper based on readership or distribution. But with social media, you have access to all of this data and all of these analytics where you really can understand your consumers' behavior, and you can test content to see if it works, right? So you think that your audience may be interested in this one thing based on research that you've done, but you can immediately in real time see how they feel about it, and you can ask them and you can engage them. And I think brands that really understand that and understand that they are using this platform to cultivate a relationship, and they're able to really just ask their audience how they feel about things and track the analytics to see how their content is performing, that's the best way to use it. And then also just understanding what each platform means for that brand. So it's going to be different for everybody. You can't say that for a consultancy, this is the track of how you use LinkedIn and YouTube, and for a restaurant, this is how you use these platforms. It's really about just understanding your customer's journey and understanding what they're looking for and helping them get there, right? We have short attention spans. We do not have the time to look for something on a website or dig through a social media channel. So you kind of have to get into that customer's mindset and do this level of smart marketing to really understand what they're looking for and give it to them in an authentic way. So sounds easy, but it's not. It's like this whole round robin kind of thing. But if you can do it and be successful, it's super helpful.
Yeah. And I don't know how you become an influencer. I think you have to be really rich and famous,
Yeah.
but I'm still hoping that one day I can have a career as an influencer, because it seems like a dream.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. So if anybody's watching and wants me to peddle their products, I'm happy to do so. One thing that we've been doing a lot here is utilizing streaming services, obviously through Zoom. But you've been helping me to find new ways to kind of broadcast this show, which we're doing from a marketing standpoint, tell stories about how we innovate and how people in our network and community innovate. We've done 26 episodes now. Congrats, you're number 26. But this is the first time that we've actually streamed live via LinkedIn. So for anybody watching on LinkedIn, hello. This is kind of a test. We are utilizing Zoom and Restream.com to actually do this live via LinkedIn, because that's obviously an audience that I think is very valuable to us, a business community, a community full of innovators and strategic planners that hopefully are going to be interested in the type of things that we have to say. I'm curious, what suggestions do you have for viewers that are out there that might be thinking about utilizing streaming services to help market their services? Any advice?
Yeah, I mean, streaming services are not new, right? So we've had Facebook and Instagram Live for a few years now, and people have been using it, and stories to that point on Instagram and Facebook is also a form of streaming, even though it's not live. But I think it all goes back to that form of authenticity, right? So I think being able to watch a live stream and being able to see people just talk about things off the cuff is very authentic and vulnerable and engaging. And that's really where social media succeeds, is when people are able to have conversations and other people are able to sit in and watch those conversations. It feels like you're connected, right? And I think during this time, especially with social media, we want to feel connected, at a time where we're maybe not seeing as many people as we used to. We want to feel like we're a part of something, and we're watching a live show or we're listening to a podcast of people just chat about things that we're interested in. And it just creates this like connection, right? And I think that's, at the end of the day, as human beings, what people are looking for. As far as businesses go, streaming is a great tool for networking. If you are trying to kind of showcase your brand in an authentic way, if you are trying to interview guests and build connections and have conversations there, it's great if you are in a position where your brand can be a thought leader in the space, where you can really build conversations around topics that are important to your brand, that are important to others, and you want to share that knowledge. It really depends on the brand. You have to really understand what is your purpose of doing this. I think the biggest mistake that brands make is, they're like, oh, now they're streaming, we have to use it. And like, you have no idea what you're using it for, but you just feel like it's trendy and you have to use it. Consumers see through that, right? So you have to know what your purpose is. You have to understand, what value that you're bringing to the space. So if you're going to use streaming, what are you trying to share, right? What should your consumers get out of your show or your streaming? What is the value? What's in it for them? And so really just kind of backpedaling, understanding that strategy, and then, just being authentic with it. I think, we're all trapped in our houses. We're all trying to think of things to talk about. We all want to connect. That's something that everybody has in common. And it's something that also makes engaging content. So just bringing that strategy to the table, and then allowing everyone to be themselves is the best way to go.
Yeah, you mentioned that we're obviously living through the pandemic and a lot of people are stuck at home. And we've had some people on the show that have talked a lot about having to reevaluate their messaging and their tone when it comes to marketing during the pandemic. I'm curious, you talk about authenticity all the time and being vulnerable. Are there other things that you would suggest for marketers in terms of their tone or their messaging during a pandemic? Is it need to be more empathy based? Are there other things that you would suggest?
Yeah, empathy, I think, is huge, especially during this time, and not making assumptions about what people are going through, right? So I think, particularly during this pandemic, there is a very wide range of things that people are going through, and some people are going through loss, they're going through challenges. Some people are thriving during a pandemic. It really depends. So it's very broad at this time. So you can't really make assumptions about what your consumers want. And there's brands that whenever there's like a popular event, they want to jump into the conversation, which is smart to do. But in this case, because it is so sensitive and so real for everybody, you don't want to feel like your brand is taking advantage of a situation. So there's this thin line about how do you become a part of the conversation, and it all goes back to what value can you bring, right? So if you feel like you are just engaging in the conversation for promotion or to just do it, it's going to backfire. But if there is value that you can bring, if there's something that your company can contribute or help, then great, do it. I think a great example that I saw recently is Facebook ran an ad. I think it was called "We're Never Lost If We Can Find Each Other." So I had to look that up, but it was an ad that I watched like maybe 5 times, like Droga did it. And it's this ad where it's a poem, it's Katie Tempest's poems, People's Faces. And it's just images of everything that was happening in March with closures and cities just being empty and people on Zoom and seeing their loved ones. And it was so raw and so real. And, Facebook's whole point was that, we're never lost if we can still find each other on Facebook, if we can be connected. They really found a way to get into the conversation and, but not really promote themselves too much. At the end of the day, majority of us were spending time on social media apps and on our phones and on Facebook at that time. And it was really a valuable tool for building connection at a time where we felt disconnected. So there was a purpose to that. And they did it in a very smart way. So I think that's really the advice there is, don't just jump into the conversation because you feel it's something that everybody is talking about, but what is your purpose and what value can your brand offer? And how can you share that in a way that clicks, right? That just resonates with people, that feels authentic. That's really the only way to kind of do it.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well,
Yeah.
if you are just joining us out there, you're watching Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I am the Director of Development for RIDG, which is a innovation consultancy based in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm joined today by our new marketing coordinator. Her name is Regina, and we have Philip Leslie on as well. Philip Leslie is one of our visual strategists. He is doing a live graphic record of our conversation, which we'll be posting after the show. If you like what you're hearing, you want more of this, please go to our YouTube channel. You can hit subscribe. You can like us on Facebook. You can also go to ridg.com. That's RIDG.com. And we will be doing these conversations every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Regina, as we head into 2011, it's hard to believe it's almost here, or sorry, 2021. 2011.
2011, we're not going back in time.
There's certainly been plenty of times this year I wish we could go back, but
right, I know.
2021. I'm curious, are there any particular trends that you're keeping your eye on, whether that is new technology or new platforms that you can utilize from a marketing standpoint? What are you focused on?
I think I'm more focused on strategy and really analyzing behavior. So like to my point earlier, behavior is so different right now in audiences than it ever was. And so really understanding what people need in terms of content and what they're looking for from their brands and from companies that they're working with, and just finding a way to give them that, right? To bring them that value. Also, storytelling is huge. I think that is why platforms like TikTok and Instagram and streaming services, that is why these platforms are doing really well right now, is because people are looking for a level of storytelling. And so I'm really curious to see how can brands incorporate that into their strategy more now than they ever have. I mean, we've been telling stories for many years through advertising, but how do we tell it in this new way that feels connected and feels authentic? Engagement is everything. And again, during this time when we're all kind of a little more disconnected, engagement has gone through the roof. You look at a platform like LinkedIn, you see more and more conversations, you see messages, you see people trying to connect and build networking. And I think that's great. I think it's great that we have these tools and we're able to engage with one another. That's huge for brands as well. So how do you get into that conversation? How do you talk to your audiences and engage with them and ask them what they're looking for and what can you do for them and how can you build a relationship? Just using these tools for what they're meant to be used for, right? For connection and for engagement and for telling stories. I think just coming back to basics has really shown to be successful during this year. I think for so long, for the last couple of years, everybody got into social media advertising and they really treated it like this vessel of advertising, and people just stopped being interested in that. We don't always want to be sold to. Sometimes we do, but really we want to be talked to and we want to be heard and we want to see some value and we want to build connections. And that's really what these tools are used for. So as far as trends goes, I think we'll see more of that in 2021 as things get longer and we're in this new normal for even longer. I think that's going to be key, is going back to basics and building those relationships.
That's great. Well, if we ever do a RIDG TikTok page, that's all you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll learn some dances.
I feel like an old man where I'm like, okay, I can do the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn stuff. Now it's TikTok. I don't get it. I like the dances, I guess. But if we're doing a RIDG TikTok, that's all you. Maybe Philip will join in.
Maybe. We'll figure it out.
All right. Before we wrap, we're going to introduce a new segment to the show. This is just
so excited.
It's called the BGT Fast five quick questions. BGT stands for Benny Good Times, and I have to say this was a nickname that was bestowed upon me earlier in my career. There was like a holiday party at an advertising agency that I worked at, and they had the DJ going, and I hit the dance floor and was all sweaty by the end of the night because I was breaking out some moves. They weren't great moves, but I was having fun with it. And the next day at the office, one of my coworkers said, "Hey, it's Benny Good Times." That just kind of stuck. Everyone started calling me Benny Good Times, and then it got shortened to BGT. And
amazing.
that actually carried on from that ad agency to subsequent jobs that I had. And now people at RIDG know me as BGT. And so this is the BGT Fast 5. There are 5 fast questions to let our audience get to know you a little bit better, a little bit more about your personal life. So
awesome.
Start, get some quick answers from you. What is your favorite thing about living in St. Pete?
My favorite thing about living in St. Pete is Vinoy Park, all the restaurants. I love how St. Pete has this mixture of outdoor, indoor activities. That's really my favorite part. If I can sit on a patio and have a glass of wine and like have my dog with me, I'm living my best life.
I totally agree. Love Vinoy Park.
Yes.
All right, 2, if you had a free ticket to travel anywhere, so if you're leaving St. Pete, you talked about your experience as a travel writer for a while.
Yeah.
You had a free ticket to anywhere in the world. Where are you going?
I would go to Japan during cherry blossom season. That is a big thing on my list. I was hoping that that's something I'd be able to do in 2021. I think we'll have to postpone that, but that's the next big trip.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you'll get a chance to do it. Question 3, what is your favorite movie?
I don't have one specific favorite movie. I'm a big fan of garbage television. So, like, cheesy Christmas movies on Hallmark are my life. Like, I love it. They're all the same. It's all the same storyline. If it's like a little bit cringeworthy, like, I love it.
Well, there's plenty of that to go around. You'll
Yeah,
never stop.
exactly.
If you were put on stage for a talent show, somebody just pushed you on the stage and said, you got to do something for this talent show. What are you doing?
Really bad karaoke.
Okay, what is your song of choice?
My song of choice, it really depends. If I'm feeling very brave, it's Whitney Houston.
Wow.
Um, if I'm not feeling brave, like Journey,
Okay.
with one of the classics, right? Something that you don't really have to think about. But if I'm in a particular mood to hit the high notes and try to challenge Whitney, which I have, um, then
That's an
that's what
impressive
that is.
feat. Yeah. I might have to see that at some point.
Yeah.
And then finally, question 5. Who is your hero or your biggest inspiration and why?
My hero is probably my mom. She grew up in the Soviet Union. The woman is just like resilient, like moved to the US at 26, like did not know the language, did not know like culture, anything, and was like raising a kid and somehow like just figured it out. And she's super smart, super, resilient, super creative. She's an artist. She like paints all of these crazy paintings and was never trained to like be an artist, like just randomly picked it up one day. So she just inspires me every day.
That's awesome. And we've talked before. My mother-in-law is very similar story.
Yeah.
And as they say in Hamilton, immigrants get the job done. So
Oh yeah,
that's great.
absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for joining me, Regina. Again, that was
Yeah.
Regina Kaza. She's our marketing coordinator. And thanks for helping me test this all out so that we could live stream on LinkedIn. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be joined by Danielle Ruiz. She's the Senior Economic Development Manager at Duke Energy. And again, if you're interested at all in learning more about RIDG, you can go to www.ridge.com. That's www.ridg.com. And then again, you can go to our YouTube page or our Facebook page. Regina might be throwing a TikTok out there at some point.
Maybe one day.
Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Take care out there.
Bye.
All right, this live stream has stopped.
Woo.
We'll stop recording.